Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. I am so thrilled you're hanging out with us today because, well, we're tackling a topic that affects literally everyone who ever steps foot into a kitchen. Whether you're just throwing together a quick Tuesday night dinner or, prepping a massive holiday feast, this is for you. We're breaking down some absolutely crucial insights from a recent second guide called The Top 5 Mistakes People Make When Buying a Kitchen Knife and How to Avoid Them. So, let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into this, because this is the fundamental question we have to ask ourselves. Are your kitchen knives holding you back? Honestly, have you ever found yourself just incredibly frustrated, kind of sawing away at a simple vegetable, feeling like meal prep is this huge chore rather than an actual joy? The source text zeroes right in on this totally relatable frustration. We so often blame our own cooking skills when things go wrong on the cutting board, but more often than not, the real culprit is the tool we're actually holding in our hands. A good kitchen knife is basically an investment. Yet as the article points out, so many of us fall into a few very specific traps when we're trying to pick one out. And that brings us right to the very first major pitfall identified in the text. Mistake number 1, the trap of cheap knives. Look, it is incredibly tempting to just grab some bargain bin blade, thinking you're scoring this great deal and saving a few bucks. But when you opt for the cheapest option, you're almost guaranteed to hit 3 major pain points. First off, they dull quickly. You might get, a few good slices right out of the box, but very quickly you're left with a basically useless edge. Second, they have poor balance. When a knife isn't weighted right between the handle and the blade, it makes every single cut feel totally awkward and forced. And third, they just wear out fast. You end up in this ridiculous, frustrating cycle of having to buy replacements over and over again. So you aren't actually saving money, you're just paying for ongoing frustration. So what's the alternative here? The reality? Quality steel changes everything. And this brilliantly illustrates the stark contrast the article draws for us. The source material makes this really definitive pivot away from that myth of saving money up front, straight into the reality of how proper materials actually work for you. There is just a night and day contrast between a cheap blade that fights against you, dulling quickly, lacking balance, wearing out fast, and a true quality investment that actually works with you. The text specifically highlights materials like Damascus steel and high-carbon stainless steel, so it's not just about flashy brand names, it's about choosing raw materials that are specifically crafted to totally elevate your experience on the cutting board. Let's make sure we're crystal clear on what the source actually means by a quality investment. The text explicitly defines this as choosing high-quality steel. So when you're looking for a knife, you want to be actively hunting for terms like Damascus steel or high-carbon stainless steel. And why is that? Well, because as the article states, these specific materials are actually designed for long-term performance. This isn't some purchase you should be making every single year. By investing in these specific high-quality steels, you're securing a tool that's actually going to maintain its edge and its balance for the long haul. Now, the guide does outline 5 major pitfalls, but we're going to skip ahead a bit to one of the most common and definitely the most costly ones. Mistake number 3, the full set fallacy. Come on, we've all seen them, right? Those massive wooden blocks just dominating a kitchen counter, bristling with like 10, 15, or even 20 different handles. It looks super impressive, but here's the exact authoritative quote straight from the article: "Most sets include knives you'll never use." Think about how true that actually is. When you buy a giant block, you're literally paying a premium for filler. You're paying for specialized blades that are just going to sit there untouched for years, collecting dust. The source effectively debunks this totally widespread misconception that having more knives somehow means you have a better, more capable kitchen setup. It simply isn't true. So let's move to and see how this builds into a practical path forward. The solution: the core essential knives. If a massive block of 20 knives is a mistake, what exactly is the right path forward? Well, the article advises stripping away all that excess, and the magic number recommended by the source is 3. Literally just 3. It's this fantastic exercise in the power of constraint. This is all about working smarter, not harder, and ensuring that every single dollar you spend is going toward a tool that will actually see daily use. By limiting your focus to just 3 core tools, you can take that budget and put it toward getting those high-quality materials we just talked about, rather than spreading your cash way too thin across a dozen mediocre blades. And you can see this in practice too. The structural data of the second store itself reflects this exact philosophy of intentional, minimal curation. The data breaks down the ideal setup really logically. A beginner, they start with a straightforward 2-piece set. Then, hitting that magic number the article recommends, the essentials form a 3-piece set. And finally, A complete, fully rounded out station tops out at just 4 pieces. This perfectly represents how a smart buyer steps up their investment logically, totally avoiding the trap of the massive, wasteful knife block. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is seeing what actually makes up this core essential arsenal. Based on the individual knives prioritized in the source material, the heavy hitters are the chef's knife, which is, your absolute ultimate multitasker, the utility knife, the super precise paring knife, and the bread knife. According to the text, these are the actual functional profiles you really need. You definitely don't need highly obscure specialty tools, you just need these foundational pieces crafted from that high-quality steel. Which brings us to our final phase, transform your cooking experience. So the crucial point is that we've successfully shifted our mindset today. We've learned to avoid the trap of cheap, fast-wearing materials, and we've learned to totally reject the fallacy of buying massive quantities of knives that we're literally never going to use. Instead, the focus is purely on investing in transformative quality. It all really boils down to this one idea. A great knife transforms your cooking. That is the overarching thesis of everything we've looked at today. When you avoid these really common buying mistakes and you secure a well-balanced, high-carbon or Damascus steel blade from a curated essential set, meal prep just ceases to be a frustrating chore. It actually becomes a seamless, totally transformed culinary experience. By following this structured advice from this second guide, you now know exactly what to look for and, honestly, just as importantly, what to avoid. You understand that the tool totally dictates the experience. So, now that you know what tools truly matter, how are you going to transform your next meal? I really hope this structured breakdown helps you make a brilliant choice for your kitchen setup. Keep learning, keep cooking, and I'll see you in the next explainer.